for not just sports cards, but the Pokemon cards and the collectibles. This would be the biggest show in Vancouver. I've talked with guys that come with a huge Steph Curry collection and they're coming down from LA. I don't even want to say on here what it goes for because I could be wrong and I would just look dumb to my fellow hobbyists that watch this.
There are those stocks that because of news, because of rumors, they spike up. But is there any sustainability?
And I mean, I left early in the morning. I took it through TSA. They tried to open the box. I told them, if you open this box, he will pull out of the deal. Like, you might as well just send me home with it.
Welcome. This is live from Langley BC, the #1 podcast in Langley, where we talk about local news, events, and businesses, as well as highlight some of the interesting people who call this place home. Today we have a local trendsetter in the fashion and collective space who's planning one of the largest cards and collectibles convention in Canada. Please help me welcome Mr. Riley Roberts. Riley? Thanks for coming on.
What an intro.
I know, right?
What an intro.
I kind of typed that out before coming here.
Nobody juices me up like that as much as my 5-year-old son. That's about it. So
he probably thinks you're like Superman.
Exactly.
I can't wait for that too. But Riley, so before we get into the whole, you got all the cards here, and for people who know about cards, they know the value of these. I'm just getting into it myself. But we'll touch base on that. First of all, let's maybe tell the people a little bit about yourself. Like, what even got you into this scenario where you're hosting one of the largest events in Canada now?
I mean, I'm lucky enough to be one of plenty of vendors at this event. I've always been a sports lover. I mean, I played hockey growing up. I played basketball growing up. I played baseball. I don't have the need to play any sports anymore, so I love watching sports. Having a kid now, you kind of want to live your life through them. So it's kind of getting him into it as well. I watch basketball religiously. I have it on my phone when I'm at work. Every job I've had to, it's been like a stipulation, I got to be able to watch sports while I'm here. Like, that's got to be part of it. The love for it was so big. I think big time was I found my collection that was kicking around from when I was a kid, when my mom was cleaning out the garage. Had a couple cards in it, didn't really know what I was sitting on, and, ended up having a couple $100 in cards. Didn't really know what to do with them. Started looking up what to do with them, found some groups for it, and it kind of just progressed from there. This was a couple years before the whole pandemic era, so I got into it before the craziness. It's more of, for me, just like an admiration of certain players. Like, my collection is largely revolved around 2 players, and then other than that, it's just a matter of if I can find a good deal, if I can see potential growth in that player. But, I mean, my love for sports, it's kind of just a no-brainer to, if you think this guy's going to do well and he's a young player, why not, put a couple bucks aside and, possibly it's like a stock market, like I've said. So, invest in who you believe in.
Yeah, and I feel like that's ultimately what drives the prices of some of these collectibles, is just the nostalgia that it brings from being a kid, right? And thinking back to like those games where you saw those games and the emotions you went through at that age. Absolutely. Right? And like you get goosebumps thinking about some of those moments. And then when you can look back at a rare one of one, or not one of one, but one of 1,000, right? Where you're like, wow, this is, I'm holding a piece of history with this card, and resembles that moment.
We've got some one of ones, but I mean, people have graded ticket stubs from moments in history. There's a ticket stub from a Michael Jordan game can go for the tens of thousands of dollars. It's amazing, right? But at the same time, they don't really do the ticket stubs anymore, so it's a little bit harder for us to actually get those now. So everything's electronic now. It makes those a little bit more sought out after for certain collectors, right? Because we don't get those anymore. So if I were to go to a game in the States, say Portland, and Steph Curry were to go off for, say, 90 points, guy goes off one night, I won't have the ticket stub for that to grade, right? I can print off an electronic piece of paper that shows I was there, but it's not the same, right? So
you don't have the popcorn bag that...
I mean, I'm lucky enough I did catch a headband from one of my favorite players at a game once.
Oh,
so
awesome.
I got to get that authenticated still.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing because you mentioned earlier too that you mentioned before too that even just before COVID, stuff like this started to get more attention because you thought, a lot of people are getting money that they, from the government and CERB in our case. But I also feel like throughout this whole, I guess, experience that we've had, we saw money become a big factor in like, hey, they're printing more of it. Inflation's going through the roof. What can we get our hands on that can hold the value so we can
Absolutely.
store it without buying investments, without buying a home or like, something that's easy to flip here and there. And I think that's where, cards and collectibles have really taken off as well.
I'm so well put. I mean, the fact is, like, I was still, with my fiance. We were renting out a basement suite at the time. I was collecting cards, trying to make enough money to put a down payment down for a house. I've done everything from shoes to cards. I used to sell, luxury snacks with Dankmart and stuff like that. So, I found cards as not only a way to get into a market of finding a way to follow your players a little bit more, because I follow them with my fantasy and, I watch certain teams and stuff like that. But there are certain teams that we never see on TV, right? The only reason we saw the New Orleans Pelicans start to come on TV was because of Zion. And I can honestly say that he quite possibly was the biggest flop and upset for the card community, because I know people that invested thousands of dollars in Zion, and like you're sitting on maybe a quarter of what you spent, and it's hard, right? So it's another thing you got to be aware of is injuries. But I've got cards in here that I've bought for $10 that I've sold for 500, right? And I've got cards in here that I bought for 500 and they're worth $20. It's crazy, but it's all about finding the right collector for the right card always.
Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, I've never heard that, but it makes sense though because some cards could be sentimental to somebody, like they were
Absolutely.
probably at a game and then this happened and they need
Yeah.
something to remember it by, right? So that they can put that on their wall or pass that down to their kids as a story that they tell. So
Yeah.
that's actually that's
I've got cards exactly like that. Caleb comes up and goes, which one's the card that I get when I grow up? Because he knows that he gets my McDavid PSA 10 one day. I told him that'll pay off your college one day. McDavid, I'm praying for it. So, but that's I mean, the thing is like with the cards, it could literally go any way,
Yeah, but
right?
it's good that in the last 2-3 years, just like in real estate, people have gotten that reality check too that things can go both ways. Because if they got in maybe 2018, 2017 when things weren't good and people there was no attention on collectible. I mean, there's niches, but once influencers start to go viral with stuff like that, people who already have a huge following, especially people who are looking at investment options,
Yeah.
and then these influencers start pushing it a little bit here and there, not telling you, hey, buy this card, but saying, hey, this is what I'm buying, and all of a sudden, boom, prices skyrocket for those type of cards.
Absolutely.
Then you start to see like, okay, well, is that real value? Is that hype value? And I mean, yeah, it depends, right? Depends on what that player ends up doing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's crazy how much everything's soared in prices since that happened.
If Logan Paul comes out at his next UFC fight or his next boxing fight, sorry, with say a Patrick Mahomes rookie card around his neck, that card will triple in value the next day.
So it's almost like insider trading where it's like pump and dump where you could do that.
It's crazy. It's almost, if I were an athlete, I'd almost hit him up, just to say, hey, wear my card around your neck or something. You know what I mean? Because it's just, that's exactly the thing, right?
That's actually a smart marketing move
Right?
right
There
there.
we go,
And all of a
right?
sudden, all the sales for that start going through the roof.
You never know. So recently in the news, I don't know if you saw the Blind Side incident
I heard
with the
about
movie
that,
stars.
yeah.
So there's a Ja Morant card. I actually don't own it. I was smart enough to download them once upon a time ago. But there's a famous Ja Morant card, and in the card, in the background, there's two rappers. One is 𝐏𝐸𝐴, one is Young Dolph. Young Dolph passed away. So when Young Dolph was shot and when he passed away, that card went from being a card that sat in everybody's $10 bin to all of a sudden spiking to $150 because Young Dolph was in it. That was about a year and a half ago when Dolph passed away, maybe 2 years ago. And now all of a sudden a week ago, the card spikes up again. And you look on the other side of Ja Morant, and there's the family, the husband and wife from The Blind Side sitting courtside as well.
No
So
way.
with all the news going on, the card once again goes from being, you know, a $25 card back up to a $150 card.
That's crazy.
It's just crazy how something like that can happen.
That, I mean, and that makes you probably take into consideration now whenever you see a card, you're like, I wonder who's in the background. Could be a safety net.
There's a picture, actually. I'm sure you guys can look it up. I want to say it's Sean Kemp, but I could be wrong. But there's a rookie card back in the day, and it's got the 2 shooters from Columbine in it, I believe. Or was it the 2? No, I'm wrong. Sorry. It was the 2 kids in New York that had killed their parents, and then they had went to the game right after, and they got arrested later that night.
Wow.
So they had literally had gone and they had killed their parents, and they went to the NBA game that night, and they got a picture. They were courtside in the background, and they were somehow on this rookie card just randomly.
That's crazy.
It was just a random thing. But then, of course, that card picks up money one day. Now it's a $2 card, but, you know.
Almost, I could probably see that becoming some sort of like curse. It's like, oh, you bought it because you wanted to, you know, make a return on it, and then all of a sudden it's like, just kidding.
It's a roller coaster. Like I said, Dolph passed away. That card went up to $150. 6 months ago, though, it was back at, you know, maybe a $50 card. It's back up again because of the news. If I had one in my collection, I would be cashing it out right now, because at the end of the day, it's not one of those cards that's going to contain its value.
It's hype.
It's just because of the news. Are you going to look around with a magnifying glass and see who else is in that picture and hope that they might be relevant?
It's actually a good reference too to like the way you invest in the market. Is there are those stocks that because of news, because of rumors, they spike up. But is there any sustainability? I was unfortunate enough to invest in one of those stocks, AMC.
Oh, I was going to say, was it Doge?
When that whole well, Doge, I did get into Doge. I've been in and out of Doge, but the same fundamentals there, where you know there's no real value. It's just kind of hype. I think it's funny we talk about Doge. Doge is pretty like driven by Elon. So
Yeah,
I mean, as long as he keeps driving
that's
that,
the thing.
right?
What if Elon were to post a picture with a big basketball card collection? Do you know how hyped the whole community would be?
Yeah.
That would bring just another, you know, what, billions
Well,
of
they
dollars.
would probably hate it because that's what happens with crypto, right? A lot of the people in crypto, they hate that Elon got involved because all he does is send a tweet and instantly goes up or down, right? And then it has nothing to do with
It's
the
the
fundamentals
internet.
of, yeah.
Right, it's the internet. People will clown Logan Paul for wearing a Charizard thing around his neck, but at the same time, like, look how many eyes he brings to the community.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Right.
Like, I remember when that whole Pokemon thing was going on with him. And, yeah, it's pros and cons, right? A lot of people got exposed for that, right? Because there was people who were selling him fakes, and he was getting just crushed online.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember that. And, like 30 to, how much were those packs? Like 30 grand
Dude,
for a
I think
pack?
he spent, I think he spent close to $1 million for a sealed case of the first edition cards. And I think it was something like G.I. Joe cards or something inside of it. It was a while back. I forget the full details, but if you look it up, it'll give you a laugh for sure, because it's almost like funny watching the amount of joy that sinks out of his face so fast when he realizes what happened. It sucks. He did get reimbursed for it. I know that,
Oh,
but
wow.
it's a fraud case, right? But at the same time, it's just,
Yeah, that's true. When it's that dollar value you're talking about, it's not like a $10
nobody
pack.
ever, follows through with getting scammed nowadays. Like people get scammed so often. Like if somebody wants to buy, say, this card from me and they're over in Toronto, and, they were, say, to send me the money and I weren't to ship it to them, it's so different where, like a $200 thing, like for me personally, like I would go over there. It's the principle to me more so than anything, right? But like there's literally scammer pages on Facebook because of people that literally go in groups and like, we'll post a card for sale, won't ship it out, we'll take somebody's money and stuff. But
Which leads me to one of my questions, because, there's a lot of people probably who are looking for alternative ways to invest, and they're probably considering this as a viable option, right? Like I said, I just dipped my toes into it recently too, and I think it's, it's the cool way to invest, right? It's cool to, buy stocks when they make money, but you don't have anything tangible to show for it, right? And so a lot of people may be looking at it as an option, but they might not know where to go looking for it and be able to purchase it. Obviously, we're going to talk about the convention that you're holding. That's one option, but I've seen obviously a lot of people buying online through Amazon. And like, would you say that's a safer alternative?
Amazon
Or eBay?
eBay. eBay is a great option. The thing is that you know that you are protected. Now, the hard thing with eBay and the hard thing with cards is there's two things. There's either a raw card or a graded card. graded cards are these guys and these protectors here. Raw cards are more so, these guys that haven't actually been in a grader and it's just an actual card on its own.
Mhm.
And the thing about buying a raw card online is that oftentimes you can't tell the corners or the edges or if there's some surface damage, and that's what they take into account when it comes to grading. So it's a little bit harder buying raw cards online. I do feel comfortable buying stuff online that is already graded off of eBay, you know. Um, it's really, especially like with me, I have my PO box set as my primary address in the States, so I can see everything that's for sale basically in North America, and that's so many more collectors that are selling on there than what you'll be exposed to. Even if you were to go to the biggest show in Canada, you wouldn't be exposed to a quarter of the collectors that are posting on eBay. That being said, we do have a few great shops around that have boxes, sealed boxes. We call it wax in the community as well. You can buy that. I mean, I personally shop at Weiser's a lot. They know me very well there. I've been shopping there for long enough now that,
Wiser's is like a hobby store?
yeah,
Or-
Weiser. It's Weiser's World of Collectibles. They're right off 96th. If you were gonna go over to Maple Ridge over the bridge there, they're literally right to the right-hand side there before you were to go over the bridge. And I mean, they've got a kid there that works there, Alex. I've got to shout him out because that kid is amazing. Seriously. He's, maybe 13, 14 years old, and that kid's so knowledgeable, it blows my mind. Like, I ask him for help picking out my boxes, picking out random stuff, little questions I have. This kid is smart. But, they take care of me for pricing. They're friendly. They're set up at all the shows as well. So, they're a part of the community because it's a face always there. So, I go there. I do spend a lot of money at Pastime as well. Ken has been in the community for probably as long as I've been alive. He has a shop, Metrotown. I believe they closed down Tawasin. They might still have it open. Guildford, they opened a new location recently, and they just opened a new location in Langley,
Wow.
right across the street from the complex that is the Walmart there on 64th. 204th, and I believe it's 66th will be where he is. But new mega store.
Is it, did they close down the one in Langley City?
Yeah, the one that OG store.
I used to go to the original one before that on the one way.
Yep.
And I remember walking down there Yu-Gi-Oh days with my mom, and that was the treat here and there is we'd get like the little starter pack from Yu-Gi-Oh. And I remember walking in there and I remember seeing I forgot, is it Thousand Eyes? What's it called? I don't even know. But there's a bunch of cards in the showcase. And I think this is maybe before it was all graded because I don't remember it having like, the big hunky boxes with like the actual grading on them.
Yeah.
And you could see every single piece of because this one character had multiple piece things like five.
You have to like
pieces.
combine the cards
Exactly.
to build him kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Those are always cool.
And that brought back a ton of memories going back in there too. And that's what it is at the end of the day, right? It's just about the nostalgia you get from looking back at this. I never was super big into the sports collectors, but I watch sports to play sports. So, there's always that side of me that's like, hey, this is pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean, with me playing hockey growing up, it was kind of, especially, I got to take advantage of the fact that I played spring hockey and I played 3-on-3 and it was fast paced. Like where, each team's putting up, 5 to 10 goals a game because it's a smaller ice, 3 guys each. So, but my dad would make a deal with me, for regular season hockey and for spring hockey that if I score a goal that I'd get a pack of hockey cards. So we were cleaning out the vending machine, I'd be getting a pack after a game, 2 packs in a game, so it added the collection up. So I didn't really know what I was doing 15, 20 years ago, but then all of a sudden I'm looking at it now and I'm going, damn, that was smart of me, right? Like,
yeah, well, that's how it starts, right? It starts as just as super innocent, like, hey, I got my hockey players that I want, to
Exactly.
keep track of, and it's cool that you get, a memorabilia piece from them, and then next thing you know, down the road, that comes back, and you're like, wow, like this is awesome. It's actually a way that and I don't know if it was always like this, but it's a way where now you can monetize, the little things you were doing as a kid.
absolutely.
And make it a fun. It's a good way to teach actually kids how to invest from a young age.
Absolutely. That's why I love seeing the kids at all of these shows and, the fact that like McDonald's is doing Pokemon cards in their Happy Meals once in a while is just like so cool to me. Costco's selling the Pokemon packs that you can hand out instead of candy this year. Like,
Oh, cool.
Get the kids involved. I love it.
I've seen that on the Toys R Us. They have that section near like the cash out. There's
Yeah.
a bunch of
All the cards and stuff are
cheaper
there.
ones. Yeah.
sometimes in the customer service area, I mean, I don't know if it's the same as when the hype was big, but like cards were selling out as soon as they hit stores for basketball cards. 2019, between 2018 to 2020, essentially, you couldn't walk into a Walmart, a London Drugs, if you're in the States, a Target, you couldn't walk in there and buy basketball cards.
That's crazy.
Shelves would be cleared off, and if you were lucky enough to find them, it was, do I open it or do I sell it at double the cost that I just paid? Because
Easy flip, yeah.
it was so easy at the time because everybody was after it. So everybody's crunched up at home. Nobody can go out. This one guy goes out for the day and goes to Walmart and sees basketball cards, buys them all, goes home, and all these guys at home are like, "Oh yeah, man, I'll pay you $100 for that $50 box all day, right?"
They just sold out, yeah.
And it's
crazy.
you sell them out that day, and you're kind of going, "Well, when can I go back and get more?"
Yeah.
So
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they're. I mean, I guess same thing with toilet paper at the time, though. Realistically.
I mean, it's a little bit uncomfortable to wipe with this.
Yeah,
Trust me.
I wouldn't recommend it either. So how about let's mention what you're kind of planning here, and maybe shout out to the community that's here in Langley, or
Yeah.
like you said, it's all around the Lower Mainland, and this is probably one of Vancouver's largest shows, or if it is Vancouver's largest shows, and why is it here?
I mean, I would personally say for cards and, for not just sports cards, but the Pokemon cards and the collectibles, this would be the biggest show in Vancouver, other than, Comic-Con, Fan Expo, when those kind of things come here. But that's not necessarily bringing direct light onto this direct hobby. It's kind of a wholesome thing, right? Now, Dale and Angie from Bossa Productions have been doing this for forever. We do monthly shows every month at the Bonza Rec Center in Burnaby, over right beside the Metro Town. Every 6 months, we do a show at the Langley Events Centre. Usually, it's between 200 to 250 vendor tables. Goes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday, like I always say, is the buyer's day. Saturday is going to be the day where kind of everybody can make it out, whether it's people are coming with their kids, the younger collectors are coming in and everything. Sunday's the day where it just gets crazy because it's family day. We've got all the kids in there. Everybody's looking for Pokemon. It's walking through there is an obstacle course. You have width to get through, but when there's a stroller here, a stroller there, 6-year-old, a group of 15-year-olds here, you're trying to get through. Yeah, so I'd say if we were to start it on Friday, it's only 2 to 8 Fridays, I believe. So it's more of like an intimate showing. I'd say 300 to 500 people usually come through about that. It's usually the people that are determined to come and see what these people are coming, because we have vendors that come from all across Canada. I've talked with guys that come with a huge Steph Curry collection and they're coming down from LA. So there's people that want to come and see what these collectors have, and they don't want to come on Sunday and miss what Buddy sold on Friday. So, it's more of an intimate showing because I find not as many people want to spend the top dollar to get in on Friday. The people that spend the top dollar are there for a reason. They want to find a trade. They want to make a deal. Saturday, it gets busy. We can have anywhere from 500 to 1,000 people there. The big thing about the Saturdays and the Sundays as well is usually that's when the guests come. We have all kinds of guests that have come through the past. Last show we had Brendan Morrison. I got to meet him, got his autograph and everything. But usually that brings a lot of extra people, especially, I'd say the guys around my dad's age, because it's, oftentimes the guys that they've watched playing growing up and they want to come through. I'd say Saturdays it gets busy. Sundays, though, it's chaos. It would be silly of me to say we have less than 750 people throughout that day touch the floor. Like, it's got to be 1,000 plus. If we're counting the stroller as an extra person as well, it's easily 1,000 plus because it's bumper cars in there. I've had my ankles taken out a few times, but we always have something for the kids at the booths. It really is a big community. So at the end of the day, I've taken my kid walking around in there. He's lucky enough that this year his birthday is November 18th, so he's going on his birthday to the show. And the guys always, it's oh hey, how's it going? Oh, hey, here's something for the kids, right? If I have kids come and look through my bins and stuff, it's like, find something you like. I'd rather put a smile on the kid's face. It puts a smile on my face. I'm away from my kids for hours, so I'd rather see the kids at the community, happy. And like you said, it brings light on it.
Mm-hmm.
These kids could take a card from me, and I could be silly by me, right? I could give these kids a $5 card, and all of a sudden it's worth, $50 in a couple of weeks because that player's performing well. These kids got to, but it's starting a young collection. Right? I know if I was in the position of walking around the card show at a young age, looking up at these guys, you're obviously looking up at these guys going, wow, these guys, I thought I was a collector. These guys have full tables of stuff. And then they're handing you stuff, just going, hey, here you go, here you go. It's going to make your day, right? So we always try to make sure we have stuff packed up for the kids. I know lots of vendors do.
That's awesome. And then when is this event?
It will be November 17th to the 19th. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I know I missed the last one. I got to check out this time because, I want to definitely, and like you said, a lot of people have been reaching out to you that, you wouldn't have expected. Are all of a sudden they're considering, investing or buying, collecting. I think it's something that, like, I know a lot of people collect stuff that isn't valuable. So for a change of pace, you want to maybe get your hands on something that is valuable and it'll appreciate over time, right?
I mean, I'm a hoarder. I'm a hoarder when it comes to cards. I mean, this box right here is a nicely organized.
Show them some of your cards. Maybe you're trying to get rid of some.
Oh man,
you might be able to find somebody.
I'll tell you right now that it's basically the personal collection and then the sellable collection, right? I try to keep it so that I have a couple of these boxes, but now my son started collecting Pokemon cards, so he's hijacked my other box and kind of literally, I went to my shelf and all of these were stacked up nicely, and he has taken my box for his Pokemon cards now. So I told him until the next card show, that's fine. But I mean, it's crazy. Like I said, won that in a raffle, $33. Last one that sold was just under 1,100, 1080, I believe. Ooh, where's the camera? Which one? So Patrick Mahomes. Now the big thing about these is that it's all about the grades. So an 8.5 isn't beautiful, but at the end of the day, it's better than an 8. It's better than a 7.5. It's another thing that, there's the two companies that grade. So I could always break this case open as gently as I could and try and send it to PSA, clean the card up, and hope that PSA grades it differently. There was a huge thing the other day about how PSA had graded a card a 5. And a guy looked at it and went, why? He broke it open and he sent it to Beckett, and they graded it a 10.
Wow.
How do we have an inconsistency like that in the community? Like, that's just weird, right? But, like, the collection, I go to a show and it's, all right, I've sold $1,000 in cards. I always end up leaving that show with at least another $1,000 in cards. Like, it's inevitable, There's shows that, if we're showing off cards, this is my recent pickup. I'm going to cherish this as my baby. But it is a Franz Wagner on-card auto, and it was from the 23 Nationals. So essentially, this was an event that happened in the States, and they gave them out, and it's a guaranteed 1 of 1 in every box. So I won this, but like you said, is eBay a good place to buy? I bought this off eBay. So, it's hard because I'll make a post in a group saying, hey, is anybody selling Franz Wagner autos? And people will say, yeah, I am. But at the same time, there's a big thing of greed too. So like we've said, people will buy in at a price. And we have websites that show recent comps, showed, the last 10 sales of that card. And people will go, oh, yeah, no, I want $500 more than that though. And it's like, well, this is what the card's worth. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to sell it then.
Yeah.
I'd rather go to eBay where a guy's selling the card and I can just buy it right away, right? It does suck for the seller. There are some high fees. Right?
On eBay?
Yeah. So.
How much are you talking?
I think I saw.
Does it go on a percentage basis?
Yeah, it's percentage basis.
Oh, wow.
I saw a guy.
Pretty big,
I saw a guy making a complaint earlier this morning, and he made a $580 sale and got, I think, like $80 or $90 in fees on it.
Wow.
And I was like, it does.
That eBay's the one making it. But I didn't know it was that expensive. Because you have to take that into account then when you're selling it. But if you don't know, then I guess that's the difference.
It's even worse when you put it up for an auction because you don't know what it'll end at. That's what eBay has as well. You can put it up for an auction for 7 days.
Yeah.
And what if nobody wants the card at that time?
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's people that'll cancel the auctions and stuff like that. But at the same time, like you might be ending up selling a card that's a $500 card for $150 because nobody was bidding on it.
Right.
Right. So.
And you have to at that point.
I mean, you can back out of it if you want, but then you can also get that negative feedback on your eBay account. And for a big seller, when you have negative feedback, and then people can write the comment that you didn't oblige, your deal for your bid.
Yeah.
It's going to put some shade on you and nobody else is going to be bidding on your future items, right? So
that makes sense.
I don't sell on eBay personally. It's a hassle, right? I'd have to package up so much, I'd rather just do these events locally. I have no problem traveling to do events. I'd rather show face. I'd like
Mm-hmm.
to show myself. I like to talk to people. I would rather.
That's how you can sell them on the card too.
Yeah, I'd rather see the
Tell them
smile
the
on
story.
somebody's face too.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than going
good
to a
trade-off.
card show, going, all right, I'm looking for this card, and then you get there and you find it and you make the deal for it, and it's such a great feeling, honestly, because it's relief. Like, especially if it's the first thing you see. I've walked into a card show going, man, I need to find a McDavid today, and all of a sudden, first table, there's a table of McDavids, and I'm like, let's make a
Manifested
deal,
it.
right? So it's
So okay, so how about some picks then? Do you have any suggestions that who are you expecting? This is where I
Ooh.
guess you could pump some of yours.
ooh,
But
but if I think they're doing good, I'm not going to be selling them. So
yeah, telling them because you want it.
I love Trey Murphy III. New Orleans doesn't have anybody. They've got nobody. Zion's a bum. New Orleans has nobody. I got this card at the last show in April. Somebody came up to my table. It's the fun thing about being at the table, Stu, is there's people that always come up to you selling cards as well. So somebody came up to me, asked if I wanted to buy it. I looked at comps, asked him what he wanted. We ended up figuring out a deal at $60. He didn't do much for the rest of the season. I ended up grading the card. I just got it back a month ago. Came back at 10. I looked up comps just for, it's numbered out of 99 as well on the back, very small. But I looked up comps and a 9 just did 160 US. So I'm like a 10. I'm probably looking more at, 250 US. But at the same time, it's one of those guys that I think is, going to be coming up, right? So I've been buying on him. I've got a couple cards at my PO box of his that I need to pick up still. Bones Highland, I have a few of his. I don't know if I have any to show because I just sent off at my last show another big submission of my cards to send off to get graded as well because
okay.
it takes a couple months to get them back. And
Yeah.
with November, with the show coming up,
Yeah.
I want to have as much inventory as I can.
Mm.
So I sent out like 40 cards hoping to get something graded.
Now the timing for this one is in November. Do you find that around that time of year, it's a little bit busier?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Just because of Christmas time, everybody wants
That's
to buy
my best sales line. That's my best sales line. I'll tell you right now, don't come past my table if you're with your boyfriend, because I'll tell you right now, I'm selling you a Christmas present. I'm selling you a Christmas present. Hey, who's he collect? Who's he collect? Who's he collect? I will get a card in your hands. But it's great for the kids too. I mean, there's some great, like Zephyr Epic is another local card shop that does great deals at the show. Like, I set up my table early enough so that I can go stand in line at Zephyr so I can get their deals because they sell boxes of cards for cheap and it's great for the kids, right? So it is great, but I mean, it's good for the Christmas presents. I buy my Christmas presents there, right? I've got kids at home, so I go around. So like I said, though, it's hard because Caleb's birthday is on the day of the card show. So do I buy him a birthday present or do I buy him whatever he wants at the card show when he comes?
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
Because, I mean, I know this guy's back here somewhere. I mean, we all know.
Yeah, and this guy just keeps producing too, hey?
Now I'll show you a real cool card. I don't know if the camera would even pick it up, but essentially this is 2 cards in 1.
Oh, I can't even see it.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Is this a rookie card?
It's a rookie card for both of them. So it's a rookie Ovechkin and a rookie Crosby.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah.
Damn.
So when you move the card around, it shows both of them. So,
So this would have came in a regular
yeah,
pack.
it just comes in a pack like that,
That's crazy.
right? Like you said, like
And they both killed it.
what a rookie year. Like, what a class. I mean, technically we all know Ovechkin should have been the year before, but, the story with that is it is what it is. I mean, another huge card. I picked this up. Judge. I picked this up before last year's season, and then he went off to break.
I'm not a big baseball guy, but
He questionably went off to break the home run record. It's questionable because the guy that has the record is, also known for doing a lot of steroids. So do we count it? People are saying there's an asterisk. At the end of the day, he went off last year. He went over 60 home runs last year.
Wow.
So, I bought that at a really low price, and then look what happened.
So when somebody tells you, hey, watching sports is not going to get you anywhere, they literally say, hey, I don't know about that. Because that's what I was telling people too is people that gamble on sports, if they know how to gamble on sports, hey, there's still a risk. There's still a risk. But it's like it's like trading in the stock market with insane knowledge of what's happening with the companies, lots of research, right? If you're totally submersed in that, like, go have at her.
Oh,
Like
yeah, absolutely.
you're playing behind the scenes here. Like it's unfair almost in some cases. Obviously, anything can happen, but for the most part, there's usually a track record, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah,
This is a game for anybody to get into, essentially. You, I mean, I can put it into the perspective of this, if you're gonna go, we'll put hockey into the window, and if you're gonna invest in somebody like Connor Bedard right out the window, you can expect that you're gonna be paying high because he's such a high prospect. But then when you look at guys that, aren't as big of a prospect that you might have some faith in and you back,
or
take a
like you
hun-
said, the hometown team that they just
exactly.
joined, and you're like, hey, I
Take
want a hometown guy.
$100 from your paycheck and go invest it in a 𝐏𝐡𝐨𝐧𝐞 card or however you pronounce his last name. And I mean, invest in him. And if he starts to take off, you're laughing, right? I did that for for a 3-month period. I was just taking a couple bucks from every paycheck and investing in Jordan Poole. And I bought cards of Jordan Poole's for $30 that I've sold for over $1,000.
Wow.
So it's really just a matter of playing the field. It's all about finding the right collector, like I said, too, because I'll buy Jordan Poole. I'll buy Jared Vanderbilt. This is my guy. But at the same time, I will never find him at any card shows because he's in the Luka Doncic rookie year and everybody's keeping their boxes sealed.
Wow.
So
That's interesting. That's another factor that comes into play.
exactly.
Well, I mean, now that it's very, there's so much attention on it, though. That's probably what everyone's hoping for, right? Eventually, well, now the resale value on those are going to be crazy, even if there is no Luka in there.
Well, and the thing is, look at a sealed box from Jordan's year, right?
I don't
So
even know how much those go for.
I don't even want to say on here what it goes for because I could be wrong and I would just look dumb to my fellow hobbyists that watch this. But I'll tell you right now, it's gross. 6 figures,
Wow.
right? But I mean, then again, like I know people that were paying high, even a box of National Treasures for Zion's year. I know people that were paying, low 5 figures for boxes.
Wow.
It's crazy. I made the biggest investment of my life was a case of UFC sports cards.
I was going to ask you about UFC because that's what I watch a lot of. And I was just thinking, I'm like, how do you even, grade that? It's, I guess there's collectors for everything, though.
So Panini made sports cards for UFC. About 2 years ago, I think it was, maybe 3, they did the first cards with Panini.
Mm-hmm.
There were cards years and years ago with Topps, but this was the first time they were doing it with Panini. And they called it the first edition. So I bought a sealed case of the hobby boxes. And I paid $18,000 for a sealed case of them. There was 12 boxes inside. And I held on to it, waited a bit, and about 8 months later, I had found somebody that opens a lot of cards on stream and stuff for people, and he was interested in it, and I flew the box to him in Washington, D.C. And I mean, left early in the morning. I took it through TSA. They tried to open the box. I told them, if you open this box, he will pull out of the deal. Like, you might as well just send me home with it. And they ended up putting it through the X-ray. They let me go. And I ended up selling the box to him for just shy of 32 grand Canadian.
Wow.
So, and I hopped on a flight later that day and made it home.
And then what did you follow up with that?
I mean, I follow him on, what is it?
Did he even open it?
So I sold at a great time. He ended up reselling the case at a loss of 20. He ended up selling it for 22.
Okay.
Just trying to recoup funds because
Wow.
it started, like I said,
That's when it started to come, yeah.
it starts to come back down, right? So, and the big
Crazy.
thing is too with these boxes is that if somebody pulls the biggest chase card, right? Say, the Luka Doncic year. If the first day somebody pulled the one-of-one rookie Luka card,
All those boxes.
boxes drop in value.
Mm.
But the longer and longer we go without pulling these chase cards, the more of a chance that one of these cards or these boxes that are sealed will have that card in it.
Right.
So these boxes are going up in value over the years,
Mhm,
right? So
mhm.
that's the big thing.
And you think like that, but that's graded though. Like, how do you know some kid didn't know? Like, there's no way that. I guess the price point though wouldn't make sense for a kid to just randomly have it that's not in the loop.
I will tell you right now. I won't show you everything in this box, but if I had the one-on-one rookie, Luka Doncic, I would personally not tell a single soul because if you did, those hobby boxes would cut in half. I guarantee it.
Mm.
Right? So I mean, there's rumors of it. There's been fake videos of it being pulled. I mean, it very well could. One of those videos could be real, and we could all just, be doubting the kids that are making these videos. But there's been fake videos of it being pulled. I don't think it's been pulled yet. There's been rumors that it's overseas in a safety deposit box. But like that, we're looking at at least $100,000 card, at least.
For Luca already. That's crazy.
It's his one of one. And the thing is he just continues to prove himself, not only in the NBA, but whenever he's representing his home country.
Right.
Right? We're watching FIBA right now and look at, like, he's just putting up numbers for his country just to try and get them forward. So I think that he will be considered one of the greatest when his career is done. It's just a matter of whether he's going to stay on the Mavs or not.
That's how he brands himself too, because I think that's the biggest thing. Jordan was amazing, but like the way he branded himself, and he continues to do it. He's long off the court now, right? So
made more money after his career than he did playing. Like that's a crazy thing right there.
And there's two ways to go, because even Shaq right there, like he went the opposite route, but he went with like the affordable route, and he's still killing it too.
Shaq's my guy. That's my favorite NBA player of all time.
Really?
Oh yeah, most dominant. Just the way that he looked at the game, and I mean him as a person too. Like, what's not to love about Shaq, right? Like,
I was listening to a clip. I think it was Kobe doing an interview about how Shaq. They said if Shaq was a better shooter, he would have been the best of all time. Just because that's the only thing he was lacking. He was a beast. He was, athletic, but his shooting just.
You ever watch him shoot free throws?
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal to watch. It's hard to watch, but at the same time, have you ever seen him take down a whole rim off of a backboard?
That's insane.
Because that's just
only
like,
one of the few that's ever done that.
Right?
That's crazy.
So well, I mean, they had to put it in rules now. They have to ask you not to do that anymore, right? They don't want you yanking down on it too hard. So
he's a monster. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, is there anything else that we might have missed that you want to probably bring up?
No, I mean, like I said, we've got the show coming up. It'll be November 17th to the 19th. We've got, we'll probably have about 250 booths, because at this last event that we had just in Metrotown, when I was talking with Dale, he was telling me, he's already we're selling out. He's going around asking all the vendors, like, last call on tables kind of thing, because he always wants to make sure, like, these guys, us guys that are getting all of these tables in between months are getting tables as well at the big show. But at the same time, like, we've got people, like I said, that travel from across the whole country to come to this. At the end of the day, I think in my opinion, the only other bigger show would be Toronto for Canada-wise. I mean, Vancouver's population compared to, across Canada as well. I mean, we've got guys, there's lots of shows comparable to the ones that we do in Metrotown, but there aren't too many across Canada that are comparable to the one that's done at the Event Centre. And I think that's what's really cool about it. I feel like there's no big show in Vancouver, like I said. So going to this is the show to go to if you're a collector, right? So Family Day is free, right? If you're, wanting to at least just come pop your head in and check it out, if you're kind of new to it and you don't want to come spend $20 to get in, right? But, we're going to have a lot of vendors. It's going to be fun, honestly. We have a good time. We're going to have a lot of people there. The guests are going to be announced soon. Usually they have all kinds of hockey legends.
What other guests have you had? Because you mentioned a few.
Oh, I mean, my favorite was Todd Bertuzzi. I got to shake his hand, and that felt cool just because I'm like...
Just punch somebody in the back of the head.
I was there. I
felt it.
And the hockey games I have been at, I was there when Donald Brashear, the two hand to the back of the head, that was my first hockey game.
Oh, you were actually there.
I was there, dude. I've been to a lot of these games, but because... I mean, lucky enough with us owning Bosley's, we had season tickets a couple times and stuff. So we'll get you to a game.
That's awesome.
Chicago, I'm excited. But, I mean, Bertuzzi was great. We had 𝐏𝐡𝐨𝐧𝐞.
Oh, cool.
He was good. We had 𝐄𝐦𝐚𝐢𝐥 just a little bit before he passed away, unfortunately. But we had him literally the show before that. So, it was kind of cool for the people that got to go and get autographs with him and stuff. So that was a good experience. I've gone, I mean, every time I go and meet the guests, just because oftentimes you're going to get to see a Vancouver player. I want to say we had Oland once upon a time ago, but don't quote me on it. But, on top of that, we've had, Bobby Hull, Marcel Dion and stuff like that. Like a lot of the old time legends and stuff like that still participate in these like old timer games. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who we're having this year.
Just stay tuned. Hopefully, so by the time this video drops, it'll probably be live. So check out.
We'll put a little bubble up in like the top right window of me just going like, oh, by the way, the guests are so and so, so and so, and so and so. Right?
Click the link.
Click here, right? But I mean, Yeah, like off record, like I mean, I'm going to Toronto, and like I know Mike Tyson's going to be the guest at the Toronto show,
Oh, cool.
right? I don't think we can get anybody at that caliber quite at the Vancouver show yet, but like I know I talked to Dale once upon a time, and I was like, man, you got to get Naslund here for us. Like that would just be too
That'd be
cool.
huge, yeah.
Like
Or the twins even.
one of the twins at least, right? You should see at these shows. We have some of the biggest Vancouver Canucks collectors, right?
Uh-huh.
We have guys that will have this whole table filled with
Be cool to
just,
see a Bure card.
you want to see a Bure table? Seriously, I was just gonna say, you'll see guys with like a table of like, Elias Pettersson, right? Just a full table of all
Wow.
of his cards,
Crazy.
right? If you
Yeah.
go by, when you walk in, right down the right-hand side, as soon as you walk in, is usually where you see a lot of like the vintage stuff. There's some like Don Cherry rookie cards type of thing.
That's hilarious.
Like there is some
Bet
crazy.
you that went up in value after he got canned too.
Man, I tried to buy it off of one guy, and he wanted to sell me the whole year's set, not just the one card. And I couldn't. I just wanted Don Cherry, right? Like just for the personal collection.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure that one went up.
That's hilarious.
I don't think he should have gone.
I don't know. It's one of those things that's happening now. So
Right?
you
It's
know,
just crazy.
You kind of just.
I'm gonna
roll
be
with the
gone in
punches.
5 years for saying that on here.
Yeah.
Right? Like-
we'll see. Someone will dig it up for sure.
Right? Exactly. No, I mean, like if there's anything else I would say is if anybody's watching this and they have a Jared Vanderbilt collection, I will cash you out in full. Other than that, I will most likely cash out any collection you have because that's what I do. It's so hard because my parents know that I do this. So with us owning the Bosleys in Cloverdale, my dad's at work all day telling people, yeah, Riley's out at a sports card show. Riley's here. And I've got all these old timers going, oh, I've got all these old cards. Does he want? So I come to work probably once every couple weeks I came once to a full duffel bag of cards from the
Wow.
80s, and I spent probably 2 hours going through them all.
That's hilarious.
Just sifting through cards for hours through the night, just kind of going through them to see if there's anything in there, right?
Any
but-
luck?
No. I've had a couple guys, I think, I've spent like $400 on a collection from one of my dad's friends, and he had, a couple nicer, rookie cards, but, it's a matter of
How they were stored and everything too.
that's the
matters,
big
yeah.
thing. These guys, none of these guys they don't have a bunch of graded cards. It's a bunch of raw cards. Lots of them aren't even in, at least a penny sleeve or, some sort of holder for it. So then it's a matter of picking up this card that they had, in their bike spokes. And I'm like,
Good old bike
if
spokes.
this was in mint condition, it would be a $10,000 card. I'll give you $10 for this, right? So but I mean, yeah, if you are a collector, if you have a collection sitting around at your house, anything like that, I would say come to this show because somebody will cash you out.
Mm.
We advertise it at the tables. Lots of people will put buying, selling, trading.
Mhm.
You can walk up. I mean, I know for a fact me and a lot of the people that I'm with don't get offended. So, people come up and say, hey, are you buying? Hey, are you
Mhm.
guys doing trades? I'd rather you come up and ask me than me have to ask you, right? If you come up to me with a box, put the box on the table and show me what you got.
Mhm.
Because oftentimes we're buying at the shows, we're selling, we're trading. It's a community event, right? So realistically, like we want to put cards in your hands at the end of the day, but I want to leave with something cool too every time.
Mhm.
I can't
Mhm.
remember the last time I went to a card show and sold something and then didn't pick something up. Like it's almost a curse,
Yeah.
right? You can't make money in the community when you're constantly putting money back into the community, but
Yeah.
it's good. I love it.
You're
It's
just building the inventory though, just for so you have options and you're not like holding on to one card like, oh, this is the only one I have left.
yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem anytime soon. I've tried to sell the whole collection, but at the end of the day, it's like when somebody's going to buy a whole collection, they're looking to spend like 60% of what
Yeah.
everything is worth, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's hard,
That's the wholesale price.
right? And that's like, that's what that's where I'm at, where it's like, I'd rather just go to these shows, show face, sell the cards myself kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, where can they find you? Where can they find more about the event? Is there like a page on social media? Maybe we'll
Yeah.
pop it up if you don't have the name.
Yeah, no, Bossa Productions will be what you want to look up. I know they have an Instagram page. I know they don't post to it too much. I'm going to talk to Dale and see if I can take over his Instagram page because I already post enough selfie videos at the
Yeah. You get enough traffic off
yeah,
Snapchat.
I'm there enough with my selfies and making videos of my sales and stuff when I'm there. We might as well get it going a bit, but they do have an Instagram page. There's lots of guys, 604 cards,
Okay.
TCG cards. There's lots of guys that are in the community that are constantly posting either cards, posting about these events and stuff like that. Either, Channy or I can always answer questions. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Riley Burtz. I have my kid, you know, I started a collectibles Instagram, and I had started it as Caleb's Collectibles. And then I had another kid. So now I've got to, you know, I can't really make it just one kid's collectibles because I know it'll, you know, come to bite me in the ass in a few years. So I'm thinking of the new name for it, but, you know, Riley Burtz, I'm on Instagram if you ever have any questions about it. I love to talk about it. You know, we have literal discussion forums about this just to talk about cards because we, at the end of the day, we love it.
Yeah, it's a passion. That's what makes it fun, though. It's not just like we keep talking about, like putting money into, you know, something that's totally digital. You never get anything. They never send you a little ticket of anything.
I can hold this.
Yeah, you get to put it on display. It's something to talk about, right? So that's why I love the whole vibe about cards. And I mean, same thing happens with, you know, art pieces and jewelry, right? But this is one of those where you can almost guarantee that in some way the value will fluctuate. Whereas you get a watch that has millions of copies, you're not going to get anything, and you spent like $1,000, right? So yeah, that's definitely a good route to take, I'd say.
Absolutely. And I mean, it just brings us all together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the guys. I've got buddies from high school that I haven't talked to in 10 years that are reaching out to me going, hey, I really like football. Should I start buying football cards? It's just kind of like, well, who do you like? Start investing in them. You know, what do you think? Do you have the expendable income to say, hey, you know, I really like Joe Burrow. I'm going to put, you know, a little bit of money aside every day or every paycheck and then, you know, eventually buy a really big card of his or something like that, right? I fully recommend that to a lot of my friends that are, you know, big on one team, especially when they draft a really hot new rookie, buy his rookie card. Sit on it, you know, right? But it is hard because you could buy that rookie card.
But at that point, like, you have to be okay with it, right?
They could be the next Zion.
Well, on that note,
they could be the next Zion.
On that note, yeah, we'll wrap things up. Yeah, thanks for jumping on. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions for me or Riley, you can comment down below or reach out to him on his IG or see him at the convention. That's November
17th to 19th.
17th to 19th. Come on Friday if you want a deal. Come on Sunday if you're bringing the kids. And if you want to watch more videos like this, click one of these here. YouTube knows what you want to watch next, and click here to subscribe. We'll be making videos like this. I guess we were doing it every week. Now we're doing it every month. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care. Boom. How's the time on that? Dead on. 3 minutes.